All right, what is up, you guys? It's your girl Kayla, and I am back with another video. So today we are going to be talking about the things that we can do to prepare ourselves for being a single mom and having a child. So one of the biggest questions that I get when I tell my friends and family that I'm trying to conceive is, how are you going to provide for your kid? What are you doing to prepare? More so all the nitty-gritty stuff besides just the initial shock and excitement. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. There are different things that you can do to prepare for the baby, and not all of them are financial, but we will start out with the financial portion. So the very first thing, the biggest concern is finances. Basically what your living situation is like, what your job situation is like. You know, all of these things factor into your life. Unfortunately, it really determines a lot of things. So for me, I live in a city 300 miles away from my family, and their biggest concern is, how are you going to provide for yourself? You know, are you going to be able to afford to take maternity leave? Are you going to be able to afford to take care of this person by yourself? And you know, just different things like that. My plan really, and I'm lucky in this way, and many of us are lucky in this way because we are able to plan ahead because we know we're trying to conceive. My plan is to save a certain amount of money so that I can take off my maternity leave and be able to basically carry myself over for not just the 8 weeks of maternity leave, but an additional 2 to 3. My sweet spot would be 4 extra months of income in case there's any kind of emergency, I need to go on bed rest, or I decide that I need to take more time off, or maybe my job doesn't bring me back on after I have the baby and I need some more cushion to find a new job and start making money. The beauty of living in San Diego is the job market is really rich. Even with us rumored to be entering into a recession, there are still jobs that are hiring, there are still places that are open, and the particular field that I'm going into with psychology and counseling, there are always jobs open. So I feel really blessed to have that opportunity. And so my plan is to be able to cover myself for 8 weeks of maternity leave, which is 2 months, and ideally an additional 4 months, just in case anything were to happen or anything like that. So in total, I'm looking to basically be able to float without income for at least 6 months. Now, what that says is I need to be able to cover my rent, my car note, my insurance for not just my car, but my health insurance, and I need to be able to cover groceries, doctor's visits, because there are co-pays and deductibles and things like that that need to be met, and any other miscellaneous thing that happens. So the way I went on and calculated it is I just looked at my monthly bill book and determined how much money I'm truly spending on bills, how much I'm spending on miscellaneous things that come up, and how much I'm spending on basically stuff for myself just for poops and giggles. And I was able to determine how much money I'm really making, how much money I'm really dishing out, and how much money I can really save. And when I determined that, I realized that I could only save $200 to $300 per month. That was not going to suffice for me because I'm looking at needing to save several thousand before I have this baby. So what that did is it gave me basically nearly 2 years from decision to have this baby to birth to save up money. So since then, I basically went into overhaul. I started paying off all my debts. I have 2 more payments and then I'll be debt free with the exception of my student loans. But thankfully, I've been blessed enough to even though I have a lot of student loan debt, it's not the crazy amounts that you hear other people going under. It's something that is payable. So there's that. But I worked on paying off my debts, fixing my credit, and doing all of those things. It was hard work, and I actually started paying them off a year ahead because I knew I'd have to make that decision of whether or not I'd have this baby once I got that news that my fertility window was actually a lot smaller than I could imagine. So that was that first decision, pay off all my debts. By doing that, I was actually able to save quite a bit more money each month. Instead of paying like that bare minimum, you know, just paying the interest or whatever, I just got rid of them. So that was step one. Step two was find an additional source of income, because I knew that to be comfortable, I would have to have thousands of dollars saved up. And even though I could save that with me paying off my debt and having that money in my pocket each month, I knew that I would barely get to my bare minimum amount that I'd allow myself to save for. And I wanted to get myself from the bare minimum to actual cushion and comfort. And in order for me to do that, I had to pick up a second job. What turned out to be a blessing in disguise is when I did that, my 2 roommates moved out. I decided to keep this apartment because it is actually a pretty decent 2-bedroom for a decent price. And I just did not see the need to move to a whole different apartment for 1 bedroom just to spend $100 less. So I just decided to stay here, and by doing so and by having that second job, I was actually also prepared when my job furloughed us because of COVID. So I just went on and started working that job, picked up a second side hustle, and made not just how much I was making each month from the one job, but actually twice that and then some. So it turned out to be such a huge blessing. So that did help financially as well. With that, now the game plan is to set aside X amount of money each month so that by the time I do conceive, I'll have enough money to carry me at least for 2.5 to 3 months. That is just barely scraping by. Now, to put that in perspective, this is June, this is the first week of June, so July, August, September, October. I have 5 months to save up before my first IUI cycle. I'm hoping that I get pregnant my first time around, but realistically speaking, that's not likely to happen. So my goal is to have that amount of money saved by my first IUI cycle. With that would give me an additional 9 months to save. And by keeping up that amount, basically what I save in that 9 months, which is the same amount I was saving before, will put me in that cushion, in that black. So that is my goal. I don't have a set amount that I feel everybody should have. All I'm gonna say is just make sure that you have enough money to pay your bills during maternity leave and cover yourself for at least 2 months outside of maternity leave, because that first month back, you're not really going to be making too much money, and the longer you're off from work, the more things build up and the harder it seems to catch up. So if you have that money set aside now, then that'll help you later on in the road. And if you do have a partner, that does make things a lot better. I can't say it's going to make things a lot easier, but I can say it does make it a lot better. So the load isn't all on you, and you guys can both knuckle down, grind hard, and cover what you need to for expenses. Now with that, the longer it takes me to conceive is fine, because that's the more time I have to save up money. Yes, I'll be paying for my IUI cycles each time that I'm not successful in my pregnancy, but I have money that I'm setting aside for that. So it's not really going to affect the amount that I'm saving each month in a drastic way. I will see a dip, but I'll still be saving at least several $100s each month. Not everybody's situation is like that, but thankfully, when we are able to try to conceive in this manner where it's planned, it does give us a better advantage than those who find out they're pregnant by surprise. You know, instead of having less than 9 months to prepare, you have 9 months and then however long that you had before you decided to do your first IUI cycle to get things in order and prepare. So the second thing, I know the money is a lot. The second thing, and this is something that my fertility center actually reconfirmed, is make sure that you're ready for this. So what I mean by that is mentally ready, physically ready. Make sure you're ready for this. What I'm doing is I'm taking my fertility supplements, which is my prenatals, my additional vitamins. I'm making sure my iron is right. I'm doing smoothies and juices to get some extra nutrients in my body. And I'm also trying to lose weight. I don't expect that I'm gonna lose a ton of weight. I had a setback with COVID. I gained 15 pounds, but I'm still at least trying to lose weight and make sure that my body, even if my weight isn't fully there, that my body itself, my numbers when I get blood work done and things like that, are stellar. So by exercising, eating clean, those things are really helpful to not only get your body right and help your body function better, but it also helps yourself mentally. When you're eating clean foods, that really does fuel your brain and it really helps. Another thing that I do to help myself mentally is I meditate, and I'm starting to do yoga instead of just working out in my home, which isn't my forte. Because I live in a beach city, I'm taking advantage of the beach, and so I go down there and I'll go walking there, I'll meditate there, and just be in my zone. One thing that my fertility center does recommend that I didn't think of is, if you're in this situation and you're having doubts or, you know, whatever feelings, see a therapist. Surprisingly enough, it can help. I know a lot of people look down on therapy or they're afraid of therapy, but it's actually just great to have somebody else to talk to that's not in that situation and can look from the outside in and give you their perspective and help navigate you through this so you feel more confident doing this. At the end of the day, people are going to say what they're going to say about you, and they're going to say what they want to say whether you do this or not. And making sure that you're confident in yourself and in your decision is so important. It is so important. I can't stress it enough, because at the end of the day, if you know who you are and you know what works for you, what somebody else is going to say may hurt, but it's not going to hurt you and it's not going to stop you. It may be a sting, but it's not going to stop you. And that's something that you really need when you're going into this, especially once you do get pregnant and after you have the kids. Things that I didn't even think about, they stated that most people do have second thoughts, or, you know, feel like maybe we won't talk about their conception after they give birth because something changes, you're much more hormonal and everything is really here, the reality is set in, and it's not something that you should ever feel ashamed about. It's something that you should be proud of because you did something that a lot of people can't do. And to know that that's normal to have those second thoughts, to feel self-conscious and not want to talk about it for the first few months, that's normal. You may not even want to talk about it for the first few years, but eventually, one, you're going to have to talk about it to your child, but two, you're going to want to eventually talk about it because you'll be able to look back and say, you know what, I did that, and now I have my little prince or princess, or multiple, that I got out of it. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because at the end of the day, you became the parent that you always wanted to be. So that is number two. That is the absolute biggest thing. Making sure physically you're ready and mentally you're ready. So that's technically 2 and 3 because it can be 2 separate things. That's what I'm doing. That's all pretty short and sweet. I don't really have too much else that I'm doing except for just making sure that if my doctor says, hey, you need to take this, then go ahead and take it. I'll do my research on it, but I also take it so I know that my body has the necessary extra nutrients that it needs so that I can put my best foot forward going through this. If you guys have anything to add, something else that you're doing or that you did when you were starting out your TTC journey, or even once you were in it, please comment that down below, because the more we know, the much better it is. And yeah, don't forget to hit that like button so I know you like this content. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way you're notified every Sunday when I post a new video.